And the year's over, and even though I did like 2 movie reviews this whole year, I do want to do a top 10 list of my favorite movies of 2015. I did keep up on some movies, not all of them. Usually, like within past years, if I know a movie is going to suck, then I don't go see it. With a couple of exceptions like Fan Four Stick and Pan, and a few other ones where I just wanted to see how bad they actually were. So none of these movies that I'm going to talk about right now, I've actually done review. Okay, one of these movies I did a review on. The majority of these movies I haven't talked about before. So I'm going to try to give you my super quick thoughts on the movies, why I love them, and why I can talk about them at this point in the year, my best list of 2015. And keep in mind, I'm ranking these more on how I enjoyed the movies, how much fun I had with the movie. If I was making an actual top 10 best movies of 2015, then this list would look a lot different. But these are my top 10 personal favorite movies of 2015, the ones that I can picture myself rewatching, the ones that I had a lot of fun with. So with that all said, let's get right to this list. At number 10, Ridley Scott has still got it with The Martian. This movie was a lot more lighthearted than I thought it was going to be. Matt Damon infused a lot of humor into the movie. He took a hopeless situation and found the fun and the spirit in it. I loved seeing the two sides of what was going on with Matt Damon and what was going on with NASA. The effects in this movie were incredible. I felt like I was on Mars. See it in 3D if you get the chance, although it's out of theaters. When it hits Blu-ray, try to get the 3D copy. The ending was suspenseful like it needed to be. The rest of the movie was very fun. It showed what the human spirit can accomplish, and it was a great sci-fi that I'm glad I got to see this year. Now, number 9 is a movie that a lot of people had problems with. I have a lot of problems with it. However, I still had a lot of fun watching Avengers Age of Ultron. I know, not a popular choice, but I had a lot of fun with this movie. What can I say? I like comic book movies. Ant-Man, not on this list. Another great comic book movie that came out this year. But back to Avengers. It was so cool seeing all these characters back on screen. They have such great chemistry together. The character of Ultron, I thought, was not the villain I was expecting, but still a villain that I really enjoyed watching. He was funny, he was witty, he reminded me a lot of Tony Stark, which makes sense because he was built by Tony Stark. The stakes were a little bit higher. The emotional punch was there when it needed to be there. It did spend a little too much time trying to set up other MCU movies, but for the story that they were trying to tell in this particular movie, I thought was really fun. It had cool themes, great action, and Civil War looks like it's gonna be business. Number 8 is, ironically, it's The Hateful Eight, the last movie I actually saw this year. This movie is kind of like the board game Clue. It's a whodunit type of situation with a lot of awesome Tarantino type dialogue. Samuel L. Jackson has a great monologue in this movie. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it in 70mm. I saw it just in the regular format. But great atmosphere, great dialogue, amazing actors, all just great performances all around. There's a little bit of that fun, bloody Tarantino violence, but it doesn't rely too heavily on it. And I actually do enjoy this movie a little more every time I think about it. Now, number 7 is a movie that I haven't seen on a lot of top 10 lists this year. Also a movie that not enough people saw, The Walk. Director Robert Zemeckis, Joseph Gordon-Levitt on the top of the Twin Towers, tight-roping across. This is another movie that just showed, like The Martian, what the human spirit can accomplish when you set your mind to something. Another great 3D movie. The effects in this movie, you felt like you were on top of the Twin Towers. But also being sensitive in a post-9/11 world, they made it almost like they gave it like a fantasy type glow to it, if that makes sense, but it also looked realistic. So I don't know how they were able to do that, how they were able to get both of those feels, but they did it, and it was great. Now, number 6 is Inside Out. Pixar has stumbled a little bit in the last couple years with Cars 2 and Brave. Monsters University, I think, was getting them back on course, and then Inside Out is the slam dunk they needed to get themselves back on top. The whole idea of seeing human emotions in someone's head is not a new concept, but the way Pixar approaches it was just so genius. It's a coming-of-age story. It talks about the emotions that goes on in teenagers' heads especially. It deals with topics like depression, sadness, topics that usually most studios would try to avoid. But Pixar tackled it. They hit the nail right on the head, and this was a huge surprise for me. I loved this movie. Now, The Good Dinosaur, different story. My name is Max. Mad Max Fury Road, one of the coolest action movies to come out this year. This is, I believe, the 5th slot? Yeah, this is number 5. Another franchise which has been resurrected from the 80s. Tom Hardy, who I don't think was as good as Mel Gibson was as Mad Max, still a great choice for playing Max. Charlize Theron as Furiosa was amazing. Nicholas Hoult was great in this movie. The action was just non-stop, real explosions, real stunts, while combining a good amount of CGI. Actually, I do think this movie was the perfect blend of practical effects and CG effects. The colors were a little too vibrant, which kind of made it look a little too unrealistic for me, especially when you compare them to the other Mad Max movies. This movie was an adrenaline-fueled rush. It never let up, never stopped, and this was actually a huge surprise for me this summer. Number 4, in a year of spy movies, this was definitely the best one, Kingsman: The Secret Service. While I enjoyed Spy and Spectre to a lesser degree, Kingsman was the awesome spy action movie that I was looking for this year. Directed by Matthew Vaughn, who did the first Kick-Ass movie and X-Men First Class. Two movies which I really liked. This movie really felt like a graphic novel ported to the big screen. Just the way he filmed it, especially with the action, the church scene, it looked like it was done in one take. I thought that was incredible. I love the way that the camera followed Colin Firth around, and the Pirates of the Caribbean guy, Norrington, I don't know his actor's name, but that opening scene with him and Mark Hamill, the camera work and that was awesome. The soundtrack for this movie was great. Samuel L. Jackson was an awesome villain. I hear they're making a sequel to this movie and I can't wait for it. I'm so excited for that sequel. Alright, now we're getting down to it. The top 3. Number 3 is Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. Usually when a movie gets moved up from December all the way to July, that's not a good sign. In the case of Mission Impossible, they were just like, hey, we don't want to come out the same time as Star Wars because, as we've seen, all those movies are going to die in the box office. So it came out in July, I think the same week as Vacation. Smart move. I'm not the biggest fan of the Mission Impossible series, while I enjoy them. Even Ghost Protocol, I had a lot of fun with it, but I don't think I've seen it since theaters. But this one, for some reason, it just clicked with me. I thought this movie was so much fun. Tom Cruise has still got it. Rebecca Ferguson was amazing in this movie. Jeremy Renner, Alec Baldwin, Simon Pegg, the usual cast coming back. Ving Rhames, too, with a bigger role than he had in Ghost Protocol. Like Mad Max, the stunts were out of this world. The momentum just never stopped through the whole movie. This movie was a huge surprise for me and without a doubt my favorite movie of the summer. At number 2, we have Creed. I thought this movie was going to be good. I didn't know how good it was going to be, though. I'm a big fan of the Rocky movies. I love pretty much all of them, minus 5. Michael B. Jordan proving that he can act. We already knew he could act, but I feel like after Fantastic Four, one of his first mainstream movies, he still has to prove to audiences, hey, I'm here to stay. Sylvester Stallone, he better, I don't care that much about the Oscars, but he better get an Oscar nomination for this movie. This movie had so much heart. You could see this like little family forming between Donnie and Rocky, and each one of them being there for the other when it looked like the whole world had turned its back on both of them. This is another one of those movies that you just get up and you cheer, and the whole crowd, when I saw it, was cheering in the final fight. At least I was. No joke, I got home from this movie at about 1 a.m., almost walked into my house, then I was like, you know what? No. And I just did a lap around the block. 1 a.m. It happened. A movie that can get me that excited that late at night definitely deserves the number 2 spot on this list. And number 1, you guys know, it's Star Wars. Who are we kidding? You guys already knew that. I'm going to keep this part brief because I already did a giant video on The Force Awakens, but basically, all you need to know, this movie recaptured what I love about the original trilogy. The effects were great, the story was great, the acting was incredible. It just gave me so much more hope in the Star Wars franchise, which is a feeling that I have not felt in a long time. So that's my list. A lot of franchise movies on this list, I just realized, but there was a lot of good franchise movies this year. But for every Mad Max, we had Terminator Genisys. For every Mission Impossible, we had a Fantastic Four or a Vacation. If you guys want a few honorable mentions, there's Bridge of Spies was really great. Straight Outta Compton was a big surprise for me. One movie I do want to bring up really quickly, Tomorrowland. That was underrated. More people should have seen that movie, and it does have its flaws, but I enjoyed it. What can I say? But those 3 movies didn't make the cut. The other 10 did. Those are my favorite movies of the year. And stay tuned because I do want to make more videos this year. The first movie I'm actually kind of looking forward to is actually a January movie, which never happens. But Kung Fu Panda 3, I really enjoyed the last 2 movies, so hopefully this one can be good, and hopefully I can make a review of that. But thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you like it, you can subscribe. Check out some more of my videos if you want, and I'll see you guys next time.